Hi guys, it's me again. This is Rusty 78609 in Central Texas. Uh, my channel is Rusty 78609, and I do videos about living in an RV, camping in an RV, full-time RVing. I live in an RV. This is an RV around me, and I also go camping in a Toyota Prius, a 2013 Toyota Prius, and I do videos about those too. And I do other things, and it's kind of a basically general interest channel, but I do talk quite a bit about living in an RV and camping in a Prius because I've done those and am doing those. Uh, I had a comment that I wanted to respond to today, and I'll be brief because it may not interest everyone, but I thought I'd post this video. The comment was summarized, asking me to expand on a comment I had made in one of my videos about my Peace Corps experience in Mongolia in 1994. I was in the U.S. Peace Corps, and I was in Mongolia. I was in Ulaanbaatar, Mongolia, and it was quite an adventure. I turned 49 in Ulaanbaatar, Mongolia. I was by far the oldest volunteer in our group. From my age 49, the nearest to me I think was 31. It was a guy named Gary Fong, and then it dropped down into the mid 20s, and there were 18 I think in our group. And but anyway, I did a video on it. It's about a 30-minute video, and if you scroll through my videos, and I know they're not organized, and there's about 80 of them or more. And but yeah, go to my channel, Rusty 78609. All lowercase, no spaces, and they're lined up, uh, horizontally, and you click on there's a little arrow on one side. You click on it, and some more pop up, and click on it again, some more pop up, and the one you're looking for is it'll say it'll say Peace Corps, and then it'll say My Time in Mongolia, and it's a 30-minute video, and it pretty well describes what occurred for me during my time in the U.S. Peace Corps. Mongolia is a very, very fascinating place, but I, like everyone that travels in other countries, you suffer from culture shock, and basically what that means, you're a little off balance because the food is different, the language is different. In this case, the housing was different. Where I stayed was just a regular apartment, but outside the city of Ulaanbaatar, uh, it's called the steppe. It's just flat country, rolling hills, and it's a frozen tundra. The ground is kind of spongy, and they live in what are called gers. We call them yurts. They're round houses covered with hides or whatever, and they're very well insulated. They have a little center fireplace, a little pot-bellied stove with a center fireplace, and that keeps the place warm. And that's what they do. They're cooking on. In the winter, when everything's frozen, they chop ice out of the little streams and bring it in and thaw it out for drinking water and cooking. And it's cold. I mean, it's latitude just about the Canadian U.S. border, maybe a little bit north of that. So it's cold. It'll get down to minus 20. I think the coldest they'd ever recorded was like minus 40 Fahrenheit. And but I was in Ulaanbaatar. Ulaanbaatar is the capital. It's at the time I was there, I think it was about a quarter million maybe people, maybe a little more. And but elevation about the same as Denver, Colorado, pretty close to 5,000 feet, surrounded by mountains, snow-capped mountains, forest. The moose, I think it was moose. I'm not sure if it was moose or elk or elk came down into the city. They'd walk around the Sukhbatar Square, which was right by the Capitol, and you'd see cattle and stuff roaming around. It's a whole different environment, and people are people. They're just they want to raise their families and enjoy their life, and they're Buddhist primarily. There's not any other religions. There might be there were some Mormon missionaries there. There were some other Jehovah's Witness missionaries there, but they're not very effective. The Mongolians aren't going for that crap. And anyway, I got to go to the Gondam Monastery, which is a very large monastery. While I was there, I went to it's called the Naadam. It's the Three Manly Games. It occurs in July. It's wrestling, archery, and horseback riding, and everybody from all over the country comes there. And each county, they're called IMAGs, sends their representatives, and it's kind of like the Olympics for the country, and it's a big deal. It's a big deal. They have a stadium, and where they have the wrestling events, and those are very interesting because they're open events. It doesn't matter what your weight is, your size is, or whatever. If you're a good wrestler, then you have a good chance to win. And I got to meet Bot Erden, the winner 5 years in a row, and this guy was built like a brick. And my interpreter, or my counterpart that was with me that day, a lady, told me that he had asked if I wanted to wrestle him. And without any hesitation, I said, no, 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 I'm not wrestling that. He was about 6 foot tall, probably weighed 240, solid muscle. And there I was, I probably weighed close to 200 at that time, but I certainly wasn't solid muscle. And he'd have probably chunked me on the ground and broke my back. But no, he was real friendly, a nice guy. I mean, he would have been the equivalent of like Troy Aikman or some famous quarterback. I mean, he was a real celebrity. It was a real honor to meet Bot Erden at that time. And I got to see the wrestling event. I got to see the archery, which I thought was I'm not going to go into detail, but it's very, very interesting. They used compound bows, and that's how they were so successful when they were taking over the known earth back in the 13th century, 12th and 13th century. And, Chinggis Khan, the thundering herd, it was because of the compound bows, and what they would do is they would charge the enemy, turn around, and appear to be retreating, and then the enemy would, of course, attack and think they had them on the run. But what the Mongolians had found, it was much easier to fire an arrow off the back of the horse, turning around and firing backwards, than it was to fire over the head of the horse. So that was actually to their advantage, and those compound bows were very powerful, very accurate, and they could shoot an arrow a long distance, so they had an advantage in several areas. And their men were dedicated. When Chinggis Khan laid siege to another area, they'd wait them out, and he'd send in a message that if you surrender and join us, then no harm will come to you. However, if you resist, we're going to kill every living thing. And they did. They really did it, supposedly. And, but, it's a funny thing about laying siege. Back then, they surrounded a castle and starved them out, or an area and starved them out. And now we call that economic sanctions. We actually do the same thing as laying siege. We just call it economic sanctions. We cut off the supply of medical supplies, certain food items, maybe certain construction items, certain electronic items, and gradually just bring the country to its knees until they do whatever it is we want them to do. But anyway, that's enough said. The Mongolia, look for the video again, is Peace Corps, My Time in Mongolia. It's about a 30-minute video, and I apologize for you having to go search for it, and it's not just some place you can just, there it is, and go to it. But if you go to my channel, scroll through, check through the videos, you'll find it. And thanks for the comment, and thanks for the interest. Again, if you want to subscribe to this channel, feel free to do so. This is what you're going to get. It'll change a little bit. Every now and then I'll go to some of these little areas in Texas and do a video of what's around me. And if I go on a trip in a Prius, or if I go on a trip anyway, I'll take some videos and shoot them to you. Just general interest stuff. And if if I find a product that I think is good or works for me, I'll do a video on it, pass it along to you, you know. But anyway, enjoy your day. Thumbs up. Carpe diem. Adios, amigos. I've got a beer tasting today for Corona Light. So anyway, adios. Bye bye.